Welcome to Wednesday here at Crain & Company. Appreciate you lending us your eyes and ears for the next hour. To my left, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn. To my right, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. Have a hell of a show for you today as we ask who America really wants to win Super Bowl 59. John Middlekauff from the 3 and Out podcast going to give us his thoughts on the big game. And Brett Bielema is trolling again. And this time he calls out Jim Harbaugh. Blaine, tell the good people about the chat and the polls, please.
What's up, chat? Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. All donations will get read at the end of the day. We're going to have multiple polls today going through, and you get to decide the winner. Coney, what's up, man? Talk to me.
The Hot Take Hotline will be live this Friday. If you want to call in this Friday. Ask for today. We have Punt or Go, and we have Get Off My Lawn today.
Yes. All right. Let's have a Wednesday with an eye, people. Strap in. Let's get it. Most people hate consistent winners or franchises that win championships repeatedly, so it's no surprise that most people really don't like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But who do you root for when both teams are pretty much overwhelmingly hated? That's the situation we find ourselves in for Super Bowl 59, where one of the most hated franchises in sports, being the Philadelphia Eagles, are playing the current dominant force in the league in the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, to many NFL fans, this is like having to choose between rooting for China and Russia. Eagles fans, on one hand, are known to be some of the most devious out there. After all, they torment opposing fans at incredible rates. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus, and their mayor can't even spell Eagles correctly. The stories of fights at Philly games are ones of legend, and they seem to somewhat thrive off their reckless reputation. Now, the Chiefs have garnered hate a different way. They just win a lot. And the jealousy of other NFL teams' fans has hit an all-time peak recently as they go for a record three-peat. If you win long and big enough, you become the evil empire. It is what it is. And that's who Kansas City is. It's hard not to like Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, even though his wife and brother seem absolutely insufferable. To me, almost any other team playing in this game against the Chiefs could rally America as the underdog and get them behind them. Philly is just one of the few I don't think that can do it. Because at the end of the day, nobody messes with Santa Claus and comes out the other side clean. David Cohn, is there a chance? We saw a little bit of this in the College Football National Championship game. Notre Dame versus Ohio State, right? Two brands that a lot of people don't like, but it seemed like a decent amount of people coalesced behind Notre Dame due to their, whether you call it right or wrong, hatred of Ryan Day and Ohio State. Do you think America could get behind Philly? Like just one time, just one good old time.
It does seem weird we're in a similar situation 2 times in 2 different weeks. I just keep wondering, what if the Dallas Cowboys right now were representing the NFC in the Super Bowl? And America was in a position to have the Cowboys be the team that stops the Chiefs from three-peating, but they have to root for the Cowboys, or you have to root for the Chiefs to keep Jerry Jones from being able to say, see, we're literally America's team now. I can't stop thinking about that. As far as Philadelphia, look, the only thing I really love about the Philadelphia Eagles is Brandon Graham. That's my boy, so I want him to do well. Other than that, it's hard for me to get behind. I like the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, likable. Andy Reid, likable. Travis Kelce, likable, or at the very least not unlikable. It's all the ancillary things that people hate about the Chiefs. Taylor Swift, Jackson and Brittany Mahomes, Pfizer advertisements, even the referees. Like, you can't blame the Chiefs if the refs are giving them calls. You would take them too. So I like Kansas City.
Well, and Blaine, to reference your favorite Major League Baseball team, the Chiefs right now kind of remind me of where the Yankees were with Derek Jeter. Like, Derek Jeter, stand-up dude, gave you no reason to hate him. But he played for the Yankees, and the Yankees have won so big for so long that you almost have to hate him. When you look at this matchup, I mean, is it something where people are like, you know what? Screw it. I want to see the Chiefs win 3 in a row, or I just don't like Philly. Kind of how do you see this?
Well, I mean, I'll take no Yankees slander in here. It's not.
I don't think that was slander. I think it's a compliment.
Well, I think the Yankees spent a lot more money to be good than what the Chiefs had to do. But, I mean, it's just tough. It's to the point now where, look, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl, but I'm just rooting for good commercials. I mean, I don't want to root for either of these football teams. I don't want to root for Kansas City. I'm sorry. I can't root for anybody who roots for if you're a guy and you root for Kansas City because of Taylor Swift, you're really not a guy. I can't root for Patrick Mahomes' sister or whatever that thing is. And the Philly is the most hated team in the NFL. I mean, just the way they act and the way they are. I mean, a lot of people out here saying they're going to boycott the Super Bowl. Do you think there's enough people who hate both these teams enough, Kansas City and Philadelphia, that they will not watch the Super Bowl?
No, hate watching's a real thing.
Yes.
I mean, how many times? Let's be honest, all right? You're probably a sports fan if you're in here, whether it's in the chat or you're listening or watching. How many times will you just watch your rival team play to hope they lose and root like hell for the other team? I'll give you a great example. Auburn and Alabama, back where I'm from. There will be Auburn fans tonight that will watch Mississippi State play Alabama and root as hard for Mississippi State to win as for Auburn to beat LSU on the road. Hate watching is a real thing, but I almost like the respect level I have for Philadelphia's franchises is that I think they embrace it. I think Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, hell, even Flyers fans, even though they're not very good, they're like, you know what? We can be the a-holes, but there are a-holes. Like, they embrace it. I mean, they put, what was it? They Crisco'd the poles in the city during one of the games against the 49ers a long time ago in case there were celebrations to keep people off the polls. I just think they embrace the hate. And, Coney, there's some beauty in that.
Do you think Saquon Barkley offsets any of this because he is likable and people want him to win a Super Bowl now that he's come to Philly? Or is it just still like, I mean, then again, Giants fans, right? Like they want what are Giants fans doing? Are Giants fans pulling for the Chiefs? They have to be, right?
I don't, yeah. Turley, you're a Giants
right
fan.
there.
You're saying,
well,
yes.
That's a weird sample size though, because she's already a Swiftie. So
but
there again,
I don't like them because of her.
Yeah, it did muddy the
variables.
waters.
Yeah.
You are kind of muddying the waters. But, like, look, I've seen people that are like, I'm rooting for Saquon. I hope Saquon has a good game.
There you go.
But not the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is really likable.
Yeah.
What has Jalen Hurts ever done to not like him? But
stand up.
Will that offset enough of the hate? No, not even close. I think this will actually be one of the rare times where more people are rooting for the team that has won the most lately and is literally going to set an NFL record for a three-peat than the other team. That's why when you asked the punter go question the other day, was the Eagles versus Chiefs good for the NFL? And while it may not be bad for the NFL because people are going to hate watch, you could have had the perfect kind of dichotomy, like the Chiefs on one hand, the perennial big dog, going for 3 in a row, versus Washington, who comes out of nowhere. You want to talk about people be rooting for a team from D.C., I never thought I'd see that in my life. Rookie quarterback. You could have had the perfect situation where history would have been made either way. You either get the 3 in a row or you get the rookie quarterback winning the first Super Bowl for the first time. But, man, you just got two sides where a lot of people just don't like them.
Everybody hates them. Like everybody in America hates both these teams. It's like the Aspen Tree situation with Philly. We hate you because of the way you are. And there's no fixing that. It's an image problem. I'm sorry.
But is it a problem, though? I think they're like, fine, hate us.
They don't care.
Hate us.
No, I'm not saying they don't embrace
I mean, I like Vince Papale, but
everybody hates them because of the way they are.
Like Major League Baseball just got their dream scenario. L.A., New York Yankees, World Series. I didn't really care. I'm a Braves fan. I was shocked when I think the Braves represent most of the South. I was shocked when the Braves went to the World Series and the TV ratings were down, but that's just the way it is for smaller markets. What do you think the dream matchup would be for the NFL?
Oh, the dream matchup, I think, would probably be Chiefs-Cowboys. I think they want the Cowboys in there. Because even when it's going awful for the Cowboys, like they get so much pub. Right now, I know when Dak got hurt, it kind of went down a little bit. But all this negativity around Dallas, I still hear more about Jerry Jones than I hear. We talk about it on this show. Than you hear about any other teams that had good years. Like the Chargers, pretty good year one under Harbaugh. Nobody's trying to hear any of that. They want to hear about Jerry Jones hiring Brian Schottenheimer and how that's going to last for 3 weeks. So I think the Cowboys have to be in there. Now, whoever plays the Cowboys, the Chiefs would obviously be good. I think a team from New York would obviously be good. You want the biggest markets possible, but Dallas is a huge market when it comes to the NFL. So I think the Cowboys would have to be in the dream scenario. Maybe it's like, I wonder how much cachet now that the Raiders are in Vegas. Like if the Raiders got to be really, really good, like how big that would be for the league. I don't know. We got to find out. But all right, let's get to the chat.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from Spencer. Appreciate it. He says, I hate both these teams. I'm going to be honest, but there's something about Saquon Barkley I like. I hope at the end of the day he just ends up getting his.
So rooting for individuals. But if you really want him to get his, isn't it winning a Super Bowl? Isn't that the whole reason that Saquon, and sorry, Turley, he was smart to do it, ended up leaving the Giants and not coming back? I mean, that kind of is getting his. This is such a weird, like, it's, what did you say? It's like when there's two villains in the movie?
Yeah.
It's not a hero.
There's no one to root for.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just, you're sitting there watching. He's like, well, this is a lose-lose situation for everybody.
It's like, who am I pulling for? Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin?
Let's go to a $3 donation from the Allen. Appreciate it. It says, guys, the one team that you definitely forgot about, I would love to have seen this Lions team in the Super Bowl. Just the way they're built with Dan Campbell. It's just refreshing to watch them play.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And they're kind of the underdog story. Yeah. And in a pretty decent, I would say Detroit's a pretty decent sized market.
And they score a lot of points.
And they do. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Alan.
Let's go to
Allen, excuse me.
$5 donation from the Husk. Appreciate it, man. It says, to quote Kim Jong-un in the interview, they just hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, that's
go Chiefs.
Didn't you watch that movie the other night?
I mean, I couldn't have laughed harder. I watched that the other day and Dodgeball, which I haven't seen in a long time. Man, you almost had to pick me up.
The interview is such a good movie. It's such a good movie.
All right, let's go to Jerry. Jerry, what's up, man? He says, guys, Patrick Mahomes, I just can't. He's the most hated player in the NFL, in my opinion. There's something about that guy's face I just can't stand.
I don't get it, man.
Where would you rank Mahomes on the hated scale in the NFL? I don't think he's one. Who would be one? Who's like one guy that just, Aaron Rodgers may be one. I think he could possibly be one. Patrick's up there, but it's because he wins. And again, like, he doesn't really do anything. He looks like a great father and a good husband. I mean, he does everything right. I think the voice kind of turns some people off.
Let's go to Kevin_T. He says, I'm slightly leaning KC only because I like Andy Reid. Aside from that, I really don't care. And I will be binge watching real crime shows Sunday instead of the Super Bowl.
Well, you need to watch our live stream. Don't forget, we're live streaming the Super Bowl from Mission Cigar and Social. You can watch us have a good time as you hate watch. All right, that works too. Before we move on, I want to tell you guys today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns is a financial wellness app that makes it easy to start saving and investing for your future. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that matches you and your money goals. And you don't need to be rich. Acorns lets you get started with the spare money you've got right now, even if all you got is spare change. You can sign up and join the over 13 million all-time customers who have already saved and invested over $22 billion with Acorns. So head to acorns.com/booster. That's acorns.com/booster, or download the Acorns app to get started today. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Very important disclosures at acorns.com/booster. Head over there today. All right, let's move on, Conathan.
Before we do, what was the poll on that one?
Yeah, the poll was, does America hate both of these teams?
What'd they say?
Yes or no. 70% came in as yes, and 30%.
Wow. A lot of hate in your heart.
Well, you saw the ratings the Bills-Chiefs got, which were really, really good. I think it was the second all-time highest non-Super Bowl game that was watched. I wonder what the ratings in this game will be. Because I'm with you, and you say this all the time, David. Hate watching is a 100% real thing, and it's the Super Bowl, man. Come on. It's Sunday. Mow the lawn, or it's Monday, whatever. At the end of the day, mow the lawn, watch the game. Watch us at Mission Cigar.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's go to Punt or Go. This is our debate segment where we will make a statement, and the other guys have 60 seconds uninterrupted to affirm that statement by going for the prompt, or they can reject it by punting. And we're going to start with former Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. You know, we've seen these things on social media saying Jalen Milroe is now climbing up the NFL draft boards. We've talked ad nauseum already this offseason about how this is more of a down year for quarterbacks entering this NFL draft cycle. I even saw some reports that said Brian Daboll and the Giants really like Jalen Milroe. Take all that for what it's worth. You know, everybody's putting out false information to be able to get the guy they want. I get that. But we have a couple throws from Jalen Milroe at the Senior Bowl, do we not? Can we show what, and that's this week, can we show a couple throws from Jalen Milroe at the Senior Bowl before I hit these guys with this statement?
Yep, down there in Mobtown, baby.
251.
All right. I mean, this, I saw.
This on air?
Yeah, it's on air. Skips it. Here he is again. Just one-on-ones. Late.
Good route.
Pick.
Yeah.
And again, on air. overthrow.
Well, that one's on the wide out.
Wide out slow down.
But look, during his career, we said he throws a deep ball really great. It's sort of the intermediate pass game where he has to work. So that's rough.
I mean, his feet don't look terrible.
Well, I mean, fundamentally, mechanics-wise, he's never looked like inept. It's just
all right. That's enough. Thank you. All right. So Jalen Milroe will be a first-round NFL pick. Are you going to punt that or go for that?
Well, before the Senior Bowl, I think he would have been, but I'm going to punt it. Guys, we talk about guys rising their stock. Everybody loves the guy that comes out of Angelo State from nowhere and does great at the Senior Bowl and moves up the rankings. But we also have seen horror stories about guys falling very fast. And if you're going to go there and struggle on air, now, we've seen Jalen Milroe come through in clutch moments in college, but if you're going to go in there in front of these scouts, the first time they really get to all see you at once, it is a pressure-packed situation, but you're throwing on air and you're not consistent, even though this draft class isn't super heavy at the quarterback position, I could see him falling. I think this is huge for Jackson Dart and some of these other guys, because if you can't go out there and make those consistent, easy throws, and you turn the tape on, there's some good and there's some bad, but what's the knock on Jalen Milroe? It's not his athletic ability. It's his consistency as a passer. And when you go to the next level, you have to hone it in that much more. And by having a showing like this, I would not be surprised at all if Jalen Milroe is one of those guys we see sitting in the green room looking sad because the first round just passed him by. I think he may have really, really hurt himself so far this week. We'll see if he can make it up.
Blaine, the thinking here is that Jalen Milroe could have an Anthony Richardson-type rise up the draft boards. Remember, he went 4 overall to the Colts, and Jalen Milroe accomplished more at Alabama than Anthony Richardson did at Florida. So Milroe will be a first-round pick, punter.
I'm going to go on this. Do I think Jalen Milroe is a first-round pick? No, I don't. I think he's a second or maybe even third day. But I promise you, and we see it every year, someone is going to reach for Jalen Milroe. I watched Brandon Wheaton be 30 years old and get drafted in the first round. So crazier things have happened. And it's because there's always that one coach out there. There's always that one GM out there who thinks they can fix them. Right? I can fix them. Because we can talk about Jalen from a ceiling standpoint. It's extremely high. One of probably, if not the best running quarterback in this draft. His passing has been somewhat inconsistent. We see that. But I promise you, we see it, guys. And if you're in the chat right now, you know it too. There will be somebody who's thinks they're Jonah Hill from Moneyball. This is the guy. I promise you, this will be the guy. A lot of people don't think it is, but just listen to me and trust me, he will change this program. Somebody will reach. A coach will reach, a GM will reach, and I just wouldn't be surprised to see him in the later of the first round get taken by a team because they think they can fix Jalen Milroe.
How is his ceiling so high? Because when I look at Jalen Milroe, the running element, that's great, but this is the NFL. Even Jayden Daniels, who's one of the best running quarterbacks we've ever seen in college at LSU, had to tone down the running. But when you watch Jayden Daniels' tape, he's making those throws. Even going back and watching Tyrod Taylor's college tape, he's a better thrower than Jalen Milroe. So do you really think the ceiling is so high that Jalen Milroe is just going to miraculously turn into this great passer to go along with athletic ability? He can't run like Lamar, but even Lamar's college tape at Louisville, I think, is better as a passer than him. So maybe he can turn into it. I just got to feel like that's a stretch.
I'm not saying he's going to turn into it, but I'm saying he has a high ceiling just like Anthony Richardson did coming out of college.
I think Anthony Richardson's a better thrower than he wasn't.
Not by much. Not by much. I guarantee you could pull up tape of Anthony Richardson overthrowing people all the time, just like you have with Jalen Milroe. They will take Jalen Milroe because the intangibles he can bring. I don't think he's going to be a great NFL player, and I don't think he'll be able to stay in the NFL if he just sticks at quarterback, to be honest. But I'm saying somebody will reach for Jalen Milroe for those.
Yeah, you're probably right on that.
I think a lot of teams saw the Ravens take Lamar Jackson at the end of that first round, and people were questioning it. And look what he's done, multiple MVPs, and then what Jayden Daniels has done this past season. Guys are going to say, you know what, maybe it's just worth the risk.
Yeah. Well, speaking about risk, Brett Bielema is risking it all right now on social media. If you have not seen, and before I get to my statement, I do want to set this up. This isn't the first time that we've seen Brett do this. We know what happened in the bowl game with Shane Beamer, obviously kind of taunting him with the substitution deal. And then Brett's gone after Lane Kiffin, too, on social media. Seems like he's trying to kind of emulate him a little bit about Ole Miss getting in the playoff and why should Ole Miss get in if Illinois doesn't get in. But he's back at it again. Jim Harbaugh has put on social media a quote when Harbaugh is with the 49ers saying, if you're cheating, you're already losing. So Brett Bielema, quote tweeted and said, really? Then why did you leave? Was looking forward to playing you, but understand why you ran to the NFL. See you in the future and can't wait. Hashtag family. Hashtag ill. So my statement to you guys, Blaine, I'll go with you first.
All right.
Brett Bielema needs to quit trolling punter guys.
Punt.
Nice
This is
job.
funny. This is hilarious. I mean, one, I respect a guy who wants to come out here and call out somebody else's bullshit. I'm fine with it. If you see it and you want to call it out, do it. But this is funny. This is America, right? I mean, we have the freedom to be a troll, and there's nothing funnier than a guy who's in a powerful position can go out and troll different people. We laugh at Lane Kiffin. We also make fun of Lane Kiffin in certain ways, but at the end of the day, it's all fun. It's all gags. I think this is hilarious. Brett Bielema is now the new troll of the Big Ten, and it fits him absolutely perfectly. Go back to against the South Carolina game. The amount of funny things this man does, it's to me, keep doing it, Brett. Keep doing it, because not only are you doing it, you're winning football games. Hell, I mean, he took Illinois to 9 wins this year, 10 wins this year. I don't know when you're going to see Jim Harbaugh again. I don't think you're going to get an NFL job, to be honest with you. But let Brett be Brett. I think it's absolutely hilarious. Keep doing it, buddy.
Well, at least people are talking about Illinois. I will give them that. David Cohn, Brett Bielema needs to quit trolling punter go.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go for that one. Brett Bielema needs to do a little less trolling and a little more focusing on Illinois and maybe get them into the Big Ten championship game. And also getting compared to Lane Kiffin, that's no sort of big win in life, okay? Brett Bielema couldn't beat Jim Harbaugh. And now all of a sudden we're questioning why would he leave to go coach an NFL team where he's the 4th highest paid coach in the entire sport of football. He makes $16 million a year. Why would you question someone leaving for getting a promotion? Makes absolutely no sense to me. And look, the NCAA, they had their shot, right? They wanted to penalize Michigan last year in the middle of the season instead of waiting it out, force the Big Ten, and they went 15-0. So you had your shot, you blew your shot, and now Brett Bielema wants to try and troll Jim Harbaugh. To you talking about he's not going to get an NFL job, I think his best chance is if Jim Harbaugh hires him as an offensive analyst, on his staff, because you're not going to be facing him again. And if you do, you're probably going to catch another L because you hadn't beaten the guy.
I agree with that. To me, it's not as much about the message. It's more about just what he's doing. Right, I'm fine with Brett Bielema becoming a troll.
You're the Lane Kiffin of the Big Ten. That's no positive
I mean, yeah.
thing.
I mean, it could
That's
be worse.
That's no good thing. Congratulations.
It could be worse.
Congrats. You went 9-3.
Lane Kiffin's won a lot of football games.
Has he? Which one?
Yeah. I mean,
okay, you beat Georgia once. Congratulations. This would be like Lane Kiffin saying Nick Saban ran away from the SEC so he didn't have to lose.
Well, I'm glad the standard now for Illinois to be taken serious is winning a Big Ten championship. Because hell, before this, it was winning 8 games.
Well, is that? I mean,
is it? What program is like I'm flexing on people like winning?
Well, do we think this is just a PR stunt to get eyes on Illinois? I mean, I'm not saying you got to agree.
You know what? The best way to do that is do what Kirk Cignetti did with Indiana. You want some eyeballs on you? How about you go do what Cignetti did?
Okay. Hey, he won 9.
Huh?
I mean, look, Brett won 9, beat a good South Carolina team.
Look, I like Coach Bielema. I don't think he's a terrible coach, but you're talking trash to a guy who you didn't beat.
It's different. Like,
why he went to go make 16
who runs to the NFL?
Yeah, I don't know if running to the NFL is a great way to put it.
I don't get it.
All right, guys, this next one, I am just absolutely jazzed for this next one. I don't know if you've heard, but the Saints job, Mike McCarthy said no. Plenty of other candidates said no, the offensive coordinator from the Redskins, but I know a perfect guy who might be a fit for this job, has a great set of hair on him. You know, we love him on this show. So, David, I'm going to start with you. The Saints, I can't get over looking at that picture. The Saints should hire Matt Moscona as their new head coach. Punt or go?
And I have to punt or go for this. As much as I want to go for this, I'm going to say punt. I know the passion would be there. I don't think the Saints have fallen into such despair that Matt Moscona is the leading candidate, mostly because I don't think Matt would draft any Alabama or Georgia players. That's mostly, like, he wouldn't implement the strategy that the Philadelphia Eagles have implemented to be able to reach the Super Bowl. Other than that, he'd probably go get all the best LSU players, and they would certainly be an improvement, but I still have to punt.
Jake, our boy, Matt Moscona, the new head coach of the Saints. You punting or going?
I'm just seeing him with hair. It's not a bad look.
It's
not a bad look.
He's got a...
Look, I'm going on this. All right? Nobody wants this job. Nobody wants it. You know who would take it? Somebody that loves the Saints. Somebody that needs the Saints. Somebody that can really just tap in to what the Saints need. Because, again, nobody else with any connection. They're, like you said, Mike McCarthy said no. Cliff Kingsbury said no. Matt Moscona could save the Saints. Now, he'd have to hire a great staff around him. He would. But I think Matt can do that. And, again, you're exactly right, David. There's no chance in hell an Alabama player is getting drafted. Georgia, maybe. But I think Matt could really rally the troops. Who gets you more fired up than one of your own, right? Ascending to it's a real King Arthur situation. Maybe Moscona is the guy that pulls the sword out of the stone, and everybody starts looking at him. And he don't even have to travel that far. He could still talk about LSU. But just think about that. The Saints, they got turned down by all these big names, former and current NFL coaches, whatever. But here comes Matt Moscona, straight out of the podcast booth, into the coaching booth, getting them right and ready. I approve this message. Matt Moscona to the Saints.
Who would be his hires?
You're looking at him.
Who would be his hires?
You're looking at him right here.
Who else?
Probably just us.
T-Bob?
T-Bob would be there.
T-Bob's got to be.
T-Bob would be there, 100%. All right, we got John Middlekauff coming up here in a minute, but let's get to the chat and let's get to the poll.
All right, let's go to a $3 donation from God's Green. He says, fellas, Matt Moscona, wouldn't you be able to fix that cap situation over at the Saints? I don't know a person who can fix it.
If anybody could, they got to love the Saints. You got to love them. Maybe you do what, speaking of the Eagles of Vince Papale, hey, maybe, you know what Aldo Raines said about getting to the Grand Ole Opry. How you get there? Practice. Let's hold an open tryout. There's people that can run in New Orleans. They do it from the cops all the time.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from the Pro. He says, guys, you definitely know Jalen Milroe will get reached on in the first round. The real question is, does he get taken early or does he get taken later in the first round?
Well, what do you consider? If we just consider the whole first round to reach, then it doesn't matter to me if it's early or if it's late. But if he keeps dropping like this, I would be surprised even if it's late. I mean, we've seen this. How many times have we seen this happen? Hell, I brought up Aaron Rodgers. We saw it happen to Will Levis. I mean, you go and have a bad showing at these things. That you talk about recency bias and leaving a bad taste, but maybe a spot opens up, he's still there, and a team that wanted to take him early but didn't like him says, hey, we'll take a chance in this spot. It kind of opened up. We'll see.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Lane P. Appreciate it, Lane. Says, if you don't take your weight serious, I can't take you serious. Brett Bielema, get off my timeline.
Is Brett Bielema, like, does it fit? Like him being like the funny troll guy. Like with Lane, it fits. Because Lane, you're like, all right, that dude control. With Brett, I don't know. I just feel like Brett should be kind of like a hard-ass, like, lineman, or actually played linebacker at Iowa, I think. It's just a weird fit.
He could probably pull it off, but it's just weird to go after a guy who was.
Yeah, you got to pick your spot.
Or even the substitution penalty with Shane Beamer. It's like one of your players was hurt over there. That was kind of
you got to pick your spots.
Let's go to Dire Need. What's up? It says, guys, if they're an NFL organization that's going to reach on anybody, I promise you it will be the Falcons. I would not be surprised if the Falcons took Jalen Milroe in the
There's no way. There's no way. Look, the Michael Penix thing's looking better and better by the day. I'll give him credit on that. There is no way on God's green earth that the Falcons are going to take Jalen Milroe unless it's like super late. Like super late. They don't need those problems. But now, I'm not letting the Falcons off the hook by any stretch of the imagination. All right, before we get John on here, all right, know a lot of y'all drink coffee out there.
I do.
All right, if you're not drinking Black Rifle coffee, you're screwing up. Look, we're in the trust tree. We're honest here. All right, it's not just the great selection of dark roast, light roast, and everything in between. It's not just that they have a coffee quiz on their website that can match you with the blend perfectly tailored to your specific taste, whether that's fine taste or you're brand new to the game. But the coolest part about it is a portion of every purchase you make with Black Rifle Coffee goes towards supporting veteran and first responder causes. Your money goes a long way towards giving back to those who serve our nation. So head to blackriflecoffee.com now. Use code DailyWire for 20% off America's coffee. That is blackriflecoffee.com with code DailyWire. David Cohn, quickly, your favorite Black Rifle coffee blend is?
Right now, I'm drinking Silencer Smooth. Love it.
Yeah, you can't hear it, but you sure can taste it. What about you, Blanya?
Ooh, the Headless Horseman. Shout out Ichabod Crain. That's family right there.
You love to see it. All right. John Middlekauff from the 3 and Out podcast is going to join us here very, very shortly. Until he does it, let's get back to the chat.
All right, let's get to this poll. It says, who won, punt, or go? Obviously, I'm going to get to it if it's someone on top of it. Blaine, David, or Jake. Jake coming in with 22%. David.
That's then y'all don't know what y'all are listening to.
Can I finish?
No, then y'all don't know what y'all are listening to.
David with a sturdy 24%.
24?
Blaine coming in at 55.
How does Blaine win that?
Oh, man.
I thought I did well.
I'm not saying you did bad. Don't think you did great.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from the Pro. Appreciate it, man. He says, what Brett does is just weird, but when Lane does it, it's charming.
It's not charming.
It just fits better, man. It's almost kind of like to
Lane always gets away with it.
And here, this is a great time to bring in John Middlekauff from the 3 and Out podcast. Brett Bielema, trolling to me, it's kind of like spandex. It's a privilege, not a right.
Oh,
okay?
That's the truth.
Like, everybody doesn't need to wear spandex and tight clothes. All right? It just, I don't know. That's the way I feel
John.
about it. What do you think about Brett Bielema trolling, John? Do you think it fits?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Bielema guy. I think he adds a little juice to college football, and it's fun to have, him and Lane and all the guys that kind of, Bielema, I guess, a little older than Lane, but just in terms of add a little, fun to the monotony sometimes of football. So I'm all for it.
I can get that. That's a strong answer. That's a strong way to come in, John. All right, let's get to Super Bowl 59. Obviously, we got the Eagles, we got the Chiefs. A lot of people are like, I'm not picking against the Chiefs. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I'm not picking against them in this one. But tell me, in your opinion, how Philadelphia can beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and be able to get Nick Sirianni a Super Bowl ring.
Well, I mean, their defense is really good. I mean, I know you guys are big college football guys. Obviously, Jalen Carter has become, one of the best players in football. And let's face it, Saquon, when you're a running back, so much is out of your control. Play calling, who your quarterback is, obviously the offensive line. It's kind of sad that he got drafted so high, so he made a lot of money, but he played on such a bad team that imagine if he was on a good team. Derrick Henry, pretty early on, once Vrabel got there, they turned that thing into a real operation. And Saquon wasted 5 to 6 years just on an awful team. So you stop Saquon Barkley, you have a chance. I was looking at some numbers that the Chiefs are good against the run. The Chiefs right there, if you look at the top teams on defense against the run, all playoff teams, the Minnesotas, the Green Bays, the Detroits, the Baltimores, Kansas Cities, like pretty basic formula, right? You stop the run, you force teams to pass, you can get after them. So I think it's fair to say Saquon's not going to run wild. And you look back at Green Bay, who actually played the Eagles pretty well. Why? Because it was hard to run on them. Their defense played well. Well, I view the Chiefs' defense as better than the Packers, and obviously they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, so force Jalen to beat you. And the one way Jalen can beat you is when he gets to kind of run wild, right? And as he did against Washington, which, let's face it, I would say Washington of the last, I feel like my adult life, I'm 40, so the last 20, 25 years is the worst roster to ever make a championship game. Now, the quarterback was incredible, and McLaurin's good, but how many guys for the Commanders would start for the Eagles?
Yeah, which is a compliment to Dan
the
Quinn.
Quarterback.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
You look at the college football playoffs, like all 4 teams loaded with NFL guys. There were kind of 3 big-time teams, and then there was the Commanders, why they scored 55 points. That clearly isn't going to be the case here.
Yeah.
And I think, it's a hard thing to play the Chiefs because you're getting to the point where you're playing even Brady, I felt like, because they had been beat, especially by the second iteration of after 2011, once the Giants beat him a second time. Like, you could beat him in a playoff game. You could beat him in a Super Bowl. No one thinks that with the Chiefs. So I think the only team in the entire league that thought could go into a game with the Chiefs and think they had a chance was the Bills, just because the Bills had beat them so many times in the regular season. Obviously, the playoffs are different, but they showed up in that game believing that. I don't know with the Eagles. I mean, they've played this team before with it all on the line and lost. And the other thing is, the Chiefs, every game kind of looks the same, whether they're playing the Raiders or whether they're playing Buffalo. It's usually pretty close in the second half. And 95% of the time, they win, especially in this game. So I'm with you. It's hard to see the Chiefs losing, but the Eagles roster right now, man, I mean, they are, since the last Super Bowl, think of the difference on their defense with Jalen. Nolan Smith's really coming on.
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis just made a play in that game.
So basically, Georgia.
He slimmed down a little bit.
Yeah, it's basically Georgia. And Nakobe Dean's hurt. To your point before I kick it over to Cone, we always talk about mirages and illusions in numbers. If you just look, illusions, Father, they're illusions. If you just look at the numbers, you'd be like, oh my God, Philadelphia is the most one-dimensional offense that has ever played in a Super Bowl. They're number 1 in the league in runs per game at 36.3, and they're number 32 in passes per game at 25.9. So you're like, oh my God, these guys are incredibly one-dimensional. But then you look, they're 8th in completion percentage at 67.89%. So is it a little unfair to say that the Eagles are truly one-dimensional? Because it seems like a lot of teams load the box to stop the run, which gives Jalen Hurts some easy throws early in games to kind of keep him going.
Well, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty confident that no team in the league pays their 2 wide receivers and tight end combined more money than the Eagles. Right? You know, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert all make big-time coin. And they're all sweet players. You know, Devontae would be a star wide receiver for most teams. He's the clear number 2 for the Eagles, and he's a stud. And Dallas Goedert probably is one of the more underrated players in the NFL. So it's like, how many teams in the league? I mean, look at the Chiefs. What would they do to have that trio on their squad? Yeah. So look at Washington. I mean, Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are dying to add those type guys to Jaden Daniels. So yeah, we view them as a run game team, partly because their offensive line is awesome and they can maul people. I mean, they turned Mekhi Becton into like a high level guard. I mean, think about that. He got drafted really high, and it was kind of one of your classic projects. And I'm all for, when you're not drafting like 1 or 2, somewhere from 5 to 15, taking a big swing on a project. But a lot of times you swing and miss. And the Jets, he got injured, swung and missed. And the Eagles were like, we'll just take this guy who's only played tackle, and we'll just move him to right guard.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got him and Lane Johnson tossing guys around. You know, I worked there, so I know a lot of people in that organization. Remember when they took Rager from TCU over Justin Jefferson?
Yep.
It was a disaster for them. They made a conscious effort that offseason. Once they, after a year, it was clear Justin was like Jerry Rice meets Randy Moss.
Yeah, just a freak.
We're never going to overthink this.
Yeah.
We are going to take the best players from the best teams.
Yeah.
And look who they started drafting. Devontae, Landon Dickerson, Nolan Smith, Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. It's just Bama in Georgia.
Yeah.
And
Brilliant.
look at their drafts. And even this year, what's his name? Mitchell. Where'd he play? Was it Toledo?
Toledo. Yeah, Quinion.
He was kind of like the Ashton Genty of his class, where like Saban, all these guys tried to get him to go to the transfer portal, and he was kind of loyal. He clearly could have gone immediately to Texas, Bama, Georgia, like after his, before his, last year in college. So he's kind of a rare deal where it's like a blue chip guy. But Cooper DeJean, Iowa, one of the best defenses. Boom, plug and play nickel corner. So you look at the Eagles, it's just a bunch of blue chip dudes, specifically on defense. So I guess that's a long-winded. I forget your question now, but
no,
it was a great answer.
Yeah, you hit it.
The one thing I know, you guys watch so much college football. I was really, and listen, Jalen still got his flaws. I thought he was a running back in college.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we can nitpick him all we want. He's become a pretty damn good NFL
quarterback. Is he tapped out? That's the thing to me. I think he's ended up being the quarterback for the Stallions here in 2 years.
He has surprised us all, and congratulations to him. John, I have 3 statements here. You have 60 seconds each to tell me fact or fiction. I want to start with the Chiefs. The Chiefs in 2 playoff games have been outgained in total yardage, and the other teams didn't turn the football over. Chiefs still win. So first statement, the Eagles will outgain the Chiefs and not turn the ball over and will still lose to the Chiefs. Fact or fiction?
I think fiction. I think one consistent theme, minus the Chiefs game, is these turnovers in these games have devastated teams. Mm-hmm. We saw it with Jared Goff. We saw it with Jaden Daniels. If you get, the turnover differential, it's one thing if it's 1-0, but when it gets to like 3-1 or 3-0, you got no chance. This is not a 7-game series. It's 60 minutes. You have a bad half, in a football game, college or pro, at the highest level, you're done. So, I mean, we saw it countless times in college. Look at Notre Dame, played an awful first half, and then they kind of came to life, and it was too little too late. So I would say turnover differential. The Chiefs can get outgained and win, but they need to cause a turnover. That's kind of their MO.
Okay, next one up here. Pete Carroll will take the Raiders to a Super Bowl. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I mean, no quarterback. You remove Brock Bowers and Max Crosby, their roster is pretty atrocious. Props to Pete, and this is why coaches are a different breed. The guy's worth, I bet he's got $100 million in the bank, and he's 73. It's like, Pete, what are you doing? He just loves coaching, just loves it, addicted. And I think he clearly the best coach the Raiders have had in a long time. But man, that roster, and how about that division? I mean, you're playing, Andy Reid, the dynasty with Mahomes, and the other two teams, like Denver Broncos and the Chargers, their worst teams for Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh were this year. I mean, they're going to be better moving forward. So props to Pete. I appreciate his ambition, admire it, but this is a major, major undertaking. So good luck to the old man.
Possibly the greatest collection of head coaches in a division that we've seen in NFL history.
It has to be the best. I think it has to be
I saw people talking about the 80s with Tom Landry and the Cowboys, and you got, they made a good case, but I think this could be the greatest collection of coaches. Last one here for you, John. Brian Schottenheimer will win a playoff game as the Cowboys head coach. Fact or fiction?
I'm gonna hang a left when everyone's hanging a right. I get everyone being up in arms if you're a Cowboy fan, but I feel kind of bad for this guy. I mean, he's not. I remember 2008, 2009, 2010 range when the Jets were running the ball down people's throats and everyone wanted to hire him. Listen, I'm not comparing him to Kyle Shanahan, but like his dad was a pretty prominent head coach of my youth. Like Marty Schottenheimer might not have had a Super Bowl, but clearly was one of the best NFL coaches, of his generation. Brian, people are acting like he's the village idiot, like you're getting Jim Tom Sula or something here. I just think. What if it's not that much different than McCarthy? And look at McCarthy, 3 straight years of 12 wins. Now, the thing with the Cowboys, do some weird stuff. Jerry feels like he's a little off the reservation right now, but they do draft and develop pretty well. The other thing is, look, the players the Cowboys have clearly like this guy a lot. And I'm not saying that means everything because players, you got to be careful with that. But they have a pretty good understanding of what wins and loses in this league, and they think pretty highly of this guy. So I'm rooting for Schottenheimer, even though I think everyone is not rooting for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, the more I look at Sean McDermott, the more I'm starting to see Marty Schottenheimer.
Really?
Well, yeah, just look. Great in the regular season. You can sure as hell win the division, but you get to the playoff and it just hits a cap.
It's amazing what Patrick.
The one thing I would say about Sean, and I was with him for a year in Philly, clearly he's done a really good job in Buffalo. They get in these spots, and especially this year, their defensive personnel just feels like they're lacking a little oomph.
It's always that. Like that, and you don't have James Cook out there in the last drive. I mean, I know Joe Brady's boy wonder, but you don't have to be John Madden to figure out you don't need to hand the ball to Ty Johnson the first play of that drive. James Cook should probably be in there.
Well, yeah, I hated that toss play on the first play of the drive. And the other thing is the tush push with Jalen, he disappears when they hike it, right? He goes low, and he's so strong. Josh's tush push, partly because he's like 6'6", he stays high.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Nance mentioned it the first time they did it. He's like, Spags and Andy mentioned in the meetings, we know he likes to go left on like they had you guys scouted out. Use some different plays. Like they just kept calling it over and over. It's like, guys, this Josh Allen tush push sneak is not working very well. Use his athleticism. Get him on
line
the
him up in the gun and get downhill.
And they kept doing it.
And I never thought I'd say line up in the gun on 4th and short.
Like it's why I don't feel. No one knows whether they got the first down or fourth. Everyone's acting like the Chiefs. Like I feel a little sympathy because you just kept going back to the well when the well was dry. It's like you guys put yourself in a situation where the Chiefs, they know he's going to go over the left guard, guys. He's done it 5 straight times and it hasn't worked. And the one time it did, he had to do the Drew Brees leap over and which fumble. Works on the goal line, but in the middle of the field, you can find the strongest man in the world that can't hold on to the football in that situation.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it made absolutely no sense. Well, John, we opened the show with this today, but I want to get your opinion on it. Who do you think is hated more in this Super Bowl, the Chiefs or the Eagles?
I guess you'd have to be the Chiefs. I think it's an easy one, but I also think, the Patriots were truly pretty polarizing. I mean, they had some, two or three of the most historic scandals, which I thought some of them were kind of dumb, but still, it was a needle mover, right? When they got caught filming the signs, everyone was doing it. The deflated balls, I don't know. I know you guys have been around football. I'd never heard of that, but that's not the reason that they beat Indy 100-0 in that.
Tom was 11 for 11 in the second half.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people were already kind of by that point rooting to hate him. I think a lot of people just like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a pretty likable figure. All he does is win. I think people are fascinated at the level in which, this would be pretty historic. And one thing that's pretty clear is when I was a kid, people watched Michael Jordan because all the guy did was win. You just wanted to see if anyone could beat him because you assumed he was going to win. And obviously Tiger Woods, that's kind of feels like the area they've gotten. I know the internet likes to act like everyone hates him. I don't know if they've quite got Andy Reid, hateable. I think he's probably the most likable guy in like NFL history.
Without a doubt.
I would agree. One matchup I'm kind of interested to see, if you go back to that Redskins-Eagles game, I mean, Zach Ertz had over 100 yards in that football game, and I promise you the guy for the Chiefs right now is a lot better than Zach Ertz. How do you think the Eagles are going to approach stopping Travis Kelce in this football game? Because if you're going to stop him, you got to stop him early.
I will say this about Ertz.
He's good.
I know he's 34. He looks pretty good right now, moving around.
Yeah, he does.
I think, the one thing you saw with Travis in that big play against the Texans, he's slowed down a little bit. He used to be, probably the quickest tight end of all time, but his instincts in space are elite. It's like, why doesn't anyone cover him? It's like, guys, he's not running when their game plan of like all the routes that a certain team runs. They don't have like game plan routes. Mahomes, and he'll just go to where you're not. So if like you're playing a specific defense, they know you're going to be there. He's going to go the other way. And the moment they find out, like, well, they're not exactly doing what we game plan for. He's standing here. I'll end up over here. So it's kind of backyard football at the highest level. And I think that Nakobe Dean injury is pretty big. Owen Burks was on the 49ers last year. And when Greenlaw tore his ACL and they brought him in, it was a huge drop-off. So it doesn't mean a backup player can't have a good game. He was all over the place in that Washington game. I do think the Chiefs are a different level. But the Chiefs, Vic Fangio, he's elite. He's really, really good. And remember when the first couple weeks and Kirk Cousins went right down the field, this defense looks completely different. This is
100%.
The Eagles are pretty stacked. Their talent is really just immense. Their weak link is their quarterback, who's not that bad, right? And now maybe a backup linebacker, but overall, their blend of, their safeties, Reed and CJ Gardner, hit. All their corners can cover, so it's not like the Chiefs are really rolling out Tyreek in his prime. Though, one thing I think that, and I saw Andy talk about this, Xavier Worthy's really come on.
Yeah,
he looks
in the red zone.
He looks a lot more comfortable because early on in the season, him and Mahomes just weren't on the same page. And it doesn't feel like they force feed like the deep bombs to him as much. It's like, let's just use short, intermediate routes, get the ball in his hands, let him make plays, and it's working.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not an easy play. I know he came from Texas, but he's coming to the two-time champs, intense. He definitely feels much more comfortable. Hollywood's back. Maybe actually the Chiefs were I'm underselling their offensive speed now. Is vastly improved from what it was. Hell, they just won essentially a shootout right with Buffalo.
Yeah, no, well, great stuff, John. Please tell everybody where they can find your stuff. If you want, info on the NFL, you got to check this guy out if you haven't already heard. John, please tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, 3 and Out podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, YouTube, and hopefully you guys are doing well and enjoy a little mellow week because football is kind of sad. We only got one game left.
The little violins are out, dog. They're out for sure. But John, thanks so much, buddy. It's always fun. We'll get you back on here soon.
Hey!
See you, all right, John Middlekauff. Go check him out. 3 and Out podcast. Hey, I'm sure John has a nice house. Probably has a pretty good lawn. And here on Wednesdays, it's a certain individual.
I can't wait for this.
Huh?
Yeah, this one. You better buckle up, Buckaroos, for this.
I think you boys might like this one.
Yeah, David Cohn, this week in beautiful American lands. Who's G'ing off your L, bud?
The new Captain America needs to get off my lawn.
Not my captain.
Actor Anthony Mackie, who landed the role of a lifetime when he was cast as Captain America, went on an international press tour for the film and said the following, quote, "For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations," unquote. That's right. That's right, boys. The comic book hero created during World War II as the quintessential symbol of patriotism, who incorporates American flag imagery in his suit and shield, should not represent the values of the country he's named after, according to a Hollywood celebrity. Is anyone really surprised something like this happened after they made Papa Doc Captain America? This is the same guy who froze up at the shelter because B. Rabbit called him out for going to Cranbrook. And since Mackie is a multimillionaire with a degree from Juilliard, that role was perfect for him, okay? But I need everyone listening to understand this isn't some movie star going rogue. He's an actor. He'll literally say anything you pay him to say. Mackie is representing the values of his superiors. The degradation of America is the primary goal, and our cultural icons are the vehicles. Follow the bouncing balls here. Who distributes Marvel movies? The Walt Disney Company. The same Disney that owns ESPN. How's that working out for us sports fans? The same Disney that fired Gina Carano for voicing her opinions. It's the same movie over and over again. And yes, that's a double entendre. Now, I wish I could tell you that I will be now boycotting this movie, but I wasn't going to watch it anyway. For those of you who were, I suggest you reconsider. And for any of those involved in this fiasco, I suggest you get off my lawn.
North Korea clap.
Well done,
Perfect.
Dave.
Perfect.
They let Papa Doc be
Yeah,
captain.
I know. Like, I thought he was good in We Are Marshall. It just let me down even more. Here's my thing, though. Like, even if you have any awareness of, like, trying to do what's best to sell the movie, right? Like, just try. And here, let's play the clip real quick so y'all can see it. Just play the clip.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
So to my point. Here's my point. Even if you really think that, if Anthony Mackie really thinks that, have you not looked around and seen these celebrities that have come out and been anti-American and then the movie tanks? Like, wouldn't the business sense in you be like, hey, I can think this to myself? And he may not. But I probably shouldn't say this. This would be bad for the money that the movie will make, and it'll make me look bad. I think he already came out on Instagram and tried to formulate some apology. But here's my biggest problem with it. It's one thing if you say that this is on an international film.
This was in Rome.
It's another thing if you want to talk trash to us here, right? Okay. That's fine. But you went over to Italy or another country and started bad-mouthing us? If it's me, you're not coming back. That's fine. Stay over there, buddy. Be Captain Italy, where y'all can all kiss each other and write letters and eat pizza and do whatever goes on over there. So you went over to a foreign country and trashed us. Screw your stupid-ass movie. I'm not going to watch it. Y'all have already ruined the Avengers. Marvel's made more bad decisions than a drunk college kid at a senior citizen living home. At the end of the day, man, like, these people, they're stupid people. And what's crazy to me is we've acted in a movie. It's not as easy as it looks. Like, you got to be able to have some sense of being smart. But I guess you can also, it's like Robert De Niro. Bro, he's one of the greatest actors I've ever seen. I watch Robert De Niro movie, I'm like, man, oh boy, is an absolute goat. And then I hear what this man says off script, and like, how can this person be this stupid? But obviously, Anthony Mackie is a stupid person.
Well, that's
at
what I'm
least
saying.
from a
Like,
business
he's probably saying the things he thinks his bosses want to hear.
They all said this stuff. That's why I quit watching the Avengers stuff since COVID. Like,
so are you not watching this one?
No. They all came out and have been like this.
Well, like, it's like Mark Ruffalo and
Iron Man was one of my favorite, like, growing up.
That was one I watched.
One of my favorite things to watch. I loved watching Iron Man. But since all this stuff came out, Robert Downey Jr., the Hulk, and all these other guys, I just can't do it.
Maybe a company should make a superhero movie that talks good about America. Maybe, like,
if only we had an idea.
Maybe, like, I don't know.
Outer Space.
Captain Michigan?
Inner Earth?
Yeah,
Captain
or
Michigan?
David Michigan? I don't know.
Look, I'm down to do it. I will say Anthony Mackie. So he says that in Rome, out in the public, but then on his Instagram story, he put, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American. And taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is an honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve. Cap is has universal characteristics that people all over the world relate to. This is something I saw with the articles. I was trying to read some articles, and they're defending him as if to say, like, pretending like he said, no, Captain America is more universal than just America. That would be bad enough. He's saying America shouldn't even be in the representation of that character. What?
Yeah, you're just an idiot, bro. And don't come back. Stay over in Rome.
You know how bad
Not my Captain America.
It has to be to have Jake talk crap about Italy.
Like, I'm just saying. I don't blame the Italians. He's a stupid person.
It has to be bad.
And I hope nobody watches that movie. I hope nobody watches that movie. Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk. That's Indiana Jones.
I feel bad for Stan Lee. That's what I feel bad for.
Yeah, R.I.P. Stan Lee. All right, let's get to bets. Houston, minus 8.5 tonight on the road at West Virginia. That's going off at minus 125. And then, look, I got to do it. All right, Auburn's going to play LSU. It's an emotional hedge, and I hope I'm wrong. But I probably won't be. Auburn just won by 13. Give me LSU plus 13.5 going off at minus 130. 1-1 last night. Tennessee losing at home to Kentucky. That was tough. But Michigan State absolutely let it go. Don't look at me like that.
I was betting on Tennessee's defense last night. It was not good. Missed that one, but Michigan State did cover for me. First time I've ever been happy for Michigan State to win. Tonight, I'm going to take Alabama money line minus 110, and then give me Texas plus 6.5 minus 110. This is a Chris Beard matchup, right?
Yeah, Texas at Ole Miss.
His former team.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All right, 1-1 yesterday. I mean, big shout out Kentucky plus 10.5.
It's a good bet. That's a good bet.
Should have took a money line to show up. So, I mean, just another one for the list. All right, Jake, a little bet enemies today. I'm going West Virginia plus 9.5 against Houston. It's going off at minus 110. And I'm going to LSU too, baby. It's amazing. You know, when you grow up Auburn fans, you love to hedge this stuff. I've seen us play basketball. Give me LSU plus 12.5. You bought yours up.
I bought mine up.
You bought yours up.
Bought mine
okay,
up.
so I'm going off at plus 12.5. That's going off at minus 110.
All right, Ace, what you got? He's going to take Auburn LSU over 148.5. That's going off at minus 110. Then Wisconsin, Maryland, sneaky matchup. Big Ten. We talk about the SEC, and they've been the most dominant conference in basketball. But these Big Ten games, I'm telling you right now, Michigan State's a problem. This is the best Tom Izzo team I've seen in about 4 or 5 years. Wisconsin, Maryland over 152.5. That's going off at minus 115. All right, let's get to the donos.
I think we got a Jerry Jones video on here. Do we want to play it?
Oh, have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
Did you see this that we found? Do we have the Jerry Jones video? Play this for Jake.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
And this is not AI, right? This is real?
Whoa.
This is real. This
That's
is
not
real.
deep sea.
Is this certified real?
What are you, Jerry? What are you doing in your spare time?
Play it
man?
again. Play it again.
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
Well, okay.
Very low percentage.
Here's my thing. You mean to tell me glory holes is still a low percentage? So that means there's some in there. That should be no percentage.
What is going on?
But what is
going on at Dallas?
Like, is this it? Is this when like the Eskimos used to put you on the raft, and when you got old enough and started losing, everybody carried torches and pushed you down the river and singing the song?
There's no way he thinks it means something else.
No, he knows what.
There's no way.
He's rich.
There's no way. How does that even come up?
You want to talk about the most successful idea of all time? Now that Jerry, he's getting towards the end there. The most successful idea is if he would Willy Wonka the Cowboys, right? It's my time to go. It's my time to go. Golden tickets. All the season ticket holders of the NFL, there'll be 5.
That's how Schottenheimer got the job.
And you come into Dallas. Oh, they already did it.
That's what they did.
That's how Schottenheimer.
They gave candy bars to all the assistant coaches. He pulled one out with the cowboy on it.
All right, let's get these donations. If you donated today, guys, thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. We're going to start off with a $5 donation from James. Appreciate it, James. Says, guys, what's a glory hole?
It's
James.
Can't help you.
Look, maybe tomorrow.
Relax, buddy. Let's go to a $2 donation from Matthew Alexander Lima. Appreciate it. Says, Kansas City always have too many men on the field. I mean, you can't have 11 plus the refs.
They'll never live that down, dude.
Let's go to a $17 donation from Keith B. Appreciate it, Keith. Is Nikola Jokic a cyborg from the future or an extraterrestrial? Appreciate you, lady ballers.
I don't think Jokic is a cyborg. I just don't think he's from here. I think, once they keep declassifying this, 100 years from now, they'll find out he was from like some star in the Zeta Reticula series, and he landed here 300 years ago. And I mean, it's so crazy. It looks like he hates basketball too. Yeah. Like, it's just amazing.
Built different.
Let's go to a $2 donation from T. Smith 0323. Chris Ash to the Irish fellas. How we feeling?
I like it. I think it's a good hire. But look, I think Notre Dame's just cooking with hot grease right now anyway.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Ricky P. Appreciate it, Ricky. There's no way I could root for a team that cheers for Taylor Swift. She is the leader of the Illuminati.
A lot of people think that, man. I'm just wondering how to get in.
$5 donation from Drew. Appreciate it, Drew. Says, am I mistaken, but are you all the guys from Lady Ballers?
Yeah, that's us.
You bet.
That's us,
surprise, surprise.
You bet.
Looking on chicks.
Let's go to a $2 donation from HB. Appreciate it. Says, I really like Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Go Chiefs.
Interesting take.
Taylor Swift's
That's
boyfriend.
Really weird. Let's get a $5 donation from Copper. He says, hey, man, Eagles fans here. I believe we have a better roster than the Chiefs
You
have.
do.
What secret matchup are y'all looking at in this game that could surprise some people?
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because everybody talks about how great this Kansas City defense is, and they're good. But, at the end of the day, when you look at the numbers, they are 19th overall in opponent pass yards per game, give up 220.6. They're also 19th overall in opponent completion percentage at 65.93%. So I'm sitting here wondering if you're the Eagles and you're looking at these numbers and you're watching the tape, if the Chiefs have to rob Peter to pay Paul and put more guys in the box, I think you're going to see a lot of quick passes out to Devontae and AJ. I wonder how much cushion. Yeah, I know McDuffie's a good corner, really good corner. But I think the Eagles can throw a little bit on Kansas City.
I'm interested to see this Eagles offensive line, which is one of the best in the league, against Chris Jones and those guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the last donation. $50 donations from Tim. Appreciate it, Tim. So, Blaine, I apologize for taking so long. Haven't been able to watch the show in a minute. You got the OSU pick right. You're a genius, and I'm not. You are the GOAT, and I'm not. You are the dragon. Also, Jake, keep Tom Brady's name out of your mouth. That man is the GOAT.
Yeah, well,
What a donation. Appreciate it, man. You're right. Wow.
Again,
What a dono.
I was just pointing out factual numbers, real life numbers when you look at it over the first 8 seasons. And he's about to probably do something if they win, and not probably will, that nobody ever done, including Tom Brady, and that's win 3 in a row.
Everything Mahomes has done, Brady's done 3 times.
One more donation, a $5 donation from BCC. Anthony Mackie sure does love to live under the umbrella of freedom that America provides. I vote to add him to the deportation list.
Yeah, stay over in Italy, bro. We don't want you in your lame-ass new movie. All right, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, we got the live a live stream with the Super Bowl. Obviously, that'll be on the day of the Super Bowl. Come hang out with us. Go grab some of that merch. Got a brand new hat that's going to drop here soon, but the other one's still crushing. It's pretty sweet. Make sure you check that out. And like the chances of me not enjoying watching some SEC basketball tonight, we're gone. That was going to hit me in the face if I didn't catch it. I am Captain America.